Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the CRL B stream here on College Carball. We just watched Michigan get taken down in a 3-game quick series by UCF. Next on the docket, we've got the Rochester Tigers versus the Northern Virginia Nighthawks. And to bring you the action, Hunted and Vaudable, how you feeling right now after watching that quick match?
Man, I'm honestly disappointed in the performance that we saw from Michigan. We both know that they can do much better, and I'm sure they know as well. So hopefully they're going to be grinding it out a little bit in scrims, in just some practice lobbies, or maybe just playing some good old ranked or maybe even six-mans or something, just to get back into the rhythm of things, because they seemed a bit rusty there and weren't really in the best performance that we could have seen from them. But RIT versus Nova is the match we have now. Both these teams are looking for their first win. Nova, they've only faced Akron, so they have the world ahead of them as far as matches go.
Yeah, and for RIT, they've dropped 2 series so far, and I believe both of them were 0-3 sweeps for the enemy team. So looking for their first game win here in this one. And against a team like Northern Virginia, I think RIT, they match up quite well. RIT is quite a good team. They just haven't had a chance to show it off yet, I think, early on in this young CRL season. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they match up. But I do believe there is a sub we're going to be seeing today.
That is very true. We are going to be seeing a sub for Beando, who is on the roster of RIT, and we'll have a Squatchy in for him instead. So that'll be interesting to see the different dynamic with that. Maybe that'll change things up enough for RIT to get their first win, especially after being so close to getting one, because we've seen, I think, 3 overtimes so far for RIT against their 2 opponents they've had. So maybe this time, if they avoid the overtimes, they'll be doing that much better and working towards their first win. But both of them only have the world up from here. So we'll see what these 2 teams can do as we get into game number 1 of this best of 5. Northern VA, we have Dream Feeling, Jake, and Titanium. And RIT, we have Queso, Squatchy, and Sunblaze. Take it away, Hunted.
Yeah, so in orange will be RIT, in blue, Northern Virginia. And yeah, as you mentioned before we started here, whoever wins this one gets their first win on the season. So both teams looking certainly to find that, try to kickstart their play in the CRL. Again, if you have not watched any of the Collegiate Rocket League so far this season, it's 16 teams in each conference. We're watching the East right now. They all have to play each other once, so there's 15 games, and they only have 3 weeks to do it.
Yep.
5 games, so it is quite the schedule for these teams. So even if you get off to a slow start, like RIT, like Northern Virginia, there's still plenty of time to try to claw back, and it can start right here.
And we're actually seeing it be pretty even as we kind of expected. There was a double commit on defense, so there might be a chance for RIT to capitalize. Sunblaze gonna have to send that one off to Titanium. He's actually new to the roster for Northern VA, so maybe this will be his season to kind of break out. He's been around the scene in the bubble portion of it for quite some time, but now there's Jake. He's been around for quite some time too. A lot of people recognize him from all the different montages and videos that he has made, so he might be a little bit rusty for what we've seen in the past, but they're also looking to prove themselves for Nova. And RIT, they were looking pretty good the first little bit, but there's a shot that's gonna go through for Titanium.
It's the 2 players you were just talking about, Jake to Titanium off that touch from Squatchy. Titanium, he just beats the defender to the ball. Quick passing play for Nova. They start off early in game number 1, and just an interesting fact that I think many people don't know about this Northern Virginia team. They are actually a community college, Bob, and
oh wow,
the only community college in the league.
That's gotta be very nerve-wracking for this team, especially not really having the, I'm assuming they don't have as much backing as some of the other esports organizations, the programs of these colleges, being a community college, but nonetheless, they are here to play some Rocket League. show up and showcase their skill, especially the one goal that they have so far. Almost 2 minutes gone in this game, but they're looking as solid as they can be, but they can't afford to give up that kind of an opportunity. There's one, a great, I think that was almost a bump, and then Sunblaze with a finish.
Yeah, it looked like, I believe it was Squatchy who got in there to bump Jake. He did.
Oh, barely got him, yep.
Sunblaze finishes it off, so a great setup from the sub in Squatchy. He equalizes us at 2:58 now, 1-1. We'll see who gets the next goal. Going to be pretty important, I think. Sunblaze might have an opportunity. He's up for it, goes a bit high, looks for the double. It's just a piece of it, but it comes straight down. Now Squatchy can't get there, and Jake eventually finds the clear. RIT starting to open up the pitch a little bit more, starting to really put some pressure on the blue half. Nova hasn't had to deal with that so much as they've been on the offensive side of the ball. Things are starting to swing more towards RIT.
Those counterattacks are what they need to really worry about if you are Nova. And there's a crazy challenge there that just crosses it to the opposite end, but good pickup by Jake, securing that positioning away from their own half. There was almost a chance there. Tried to fake out the attacker, but not going to really lead to too much. Queso, he has a chance to set up his teammates, but a little bit going to reset towards that midfield line. It might be a chance for Nova to strike. Jake to Titanium, that might be the combination that Nova need to get in the lead again.
Well, it's worked for them early on in this series, and Titanium has a shot now.
Ooh.
He'll find his second goal pretty late in game number 1, and it's just another poor back wall play from RIT that opens it up for Nova.
Those plays are so hard to read, especially when you have two members of your team up on the back wall. It's hard to decide exactly which one has the better angle when you're going for the ball, and unfortunately, neither of them committed to it. So at the end, Titanium able to put it through. We're seeing kind of a similar story to what we saw in the first series, but it's no Snipes. He hasn't been able to put in 3 crossbar shots so far for Titanium, but you might see something similar to that. They're able to keep up this pressure on offense.
A minute 25 to go. It is a 1-0 lead for Northern Virginia. Squatchy to try to clear. Titanium is going to take his time, but gives the ball away. Squatchy has a chance, doesn't get the touch on it as Jake comes across to bail out his teammate. We're in the final 70 seconds of regulation time. Sunblaze looking for Squatchy, actually decides to turn. He'll try to get back to this ball. You cannot be hesitant if you are RIT right now. You've got to find that offensive opportunity. Waiting and watching is going to start allowing this time to tick away. There's really not much of it left.
And we're also starting to see that Squatchy might not gel as well with this RIT roster. He's been kind of cutting rotation a few times, bumping into his teammates every so often, almost going for some double commits on defense, and that's led to some wide open opportunities for Nova. They just haven't had the chance to capitalize on those quite yet, but still being up by 1 and with the possession in the favor of Nova, they're going to keep up this pressure as long as they can to wind down that clock and make sure they don't give possession to Squatchy, because that might lead to an opportunity, and that might be all they need to capitalize on.
Jake being the last man back does get a touch down the pitch. Sunblaze looking for Queso for a redirect. He's got Squatchy in mid, but he doesn't get a touch on it that he needed. Dream Feeling will send it to the pitch. Northern Virginia come away with a one-goal victory in game 1 to give them a 1-game lead in this.
Yeah, and that was a great coordinated effort by Nova. We saw Titanium being the main striker on offense. 5 shots, 2 goals. They were all pretty solid on defense as a unit, but RIT, I feel like Squatchy still just haven't found his spot in the way they were going about things. So maybe this next game, after he warmed up a little bit from that first one, they'll be able to get into a rhythm of things and be just moving forward as well as they can into the remainder of this best of 5.
I think it is worth noting, though, that Squatchy did make the pass to give them their only goal in that game. And, you know, I think I can agree with what you're saying, that it feels like he's a little bit out of place, but I don't know if that's due to him not really fitting in, or if it's kind of been just RIT in general seem a little bit off against this Northern Virginia squad. We're going to have to find out in game number 2. But really, it didn't feel like that was a runaway game for Northern Virginia. It felt like RIT was in it. They just didn't get the shots they needed.
And that's how it's been for RIT for all the games they have played so far in the CRL fall season. They've been so close to winning, or at least getting to an overtime. They've gotten those 3 overtimes, as I mentioned before, and now they're still looking for their first game win, let alone their first series win. So maybe they can start with a game win in this next one and go from there and try and use that momentum to take them forward. But we almost saw the momentum from Titanium after it was denied by the post.
It was a close call early on. Still, Northern Virginia looking for that early 1-goal lead. Keeping the ball in, but that's not a great touch from Titanium. He does get back around to it. Queso just giving the ball away in his own zone. Still not back on defense's Queso as Dream Feeling's looking for a pass. Eventually does get cut off by Sunblaze. And the clear is in. Still Titanium to keep the ball moving in the orange half. Go off the back wall, gets a touchdown towards Jake, but Queso's there to clear. So Northern Virginia playing with confidence right now, and RIT is having a difficult time clearing it, as Squatchy will have a shot, but again, it's just giving the ball away when you have possession.
Ooh, that was a good block, though, by Squatchy, but we haven't really seen any solid follow-up so far. It seems like RIT are not wanting to put everything into these offensive attacks. They know how it's bit them before in that first game. Now they're just taking it easy, trying to make sure that they don't overcommit on any of these plays. There's a great touch, but again, Titanium, as you mentioned, the great save.
Comes off that sidewall to reject Squatchy on the goal line. Keeps it a 0-0 game. Minute and a half in. Now Titanium, he's going to have to play defense. Squatchy a light touch towards the front of the goal. That's an easy clear for Jake. He'll come streaking down the side. Gets a dunk on the first defender. Queso has to try to clear it away from Dream Feeling. Can't quite do it. Demo onto Squatchy. Jake's up. He scores.
There we go.
1-0 now for Northern Virginia. Finally, the pressure pays off.
Beautifully executed play. We saw the demo, we saw the setup, and then the finish from Jake, and it was already in the rear view mirror of the defense right there. Now they need to try and come back down by 1. Little over 3 minutes remain for RIT, but again, they haven't really had the offensive pressure, and there's another opportunity from Dream Feeling just going by the wayside.
2 minutes have elapsed in game 2. Even with all the pressure, Nova only find themselves up a goal. Certainly not out of this game are RIT by any stretch of the imagination. That's a good demo onto Jake. Both players remaining on the same side of the wall. They do find the clear. Queso towards the net. Titanium dodges the bump and makes the save, but he's still got to play defense. Squatchy doesn't get there. And RIT, that was their chance. That was the best chance they've had all game. They just can't capitalize.
Titanium, time and time again, denying them on defense. He was the offensive powerhouse in that first game, but this time he's taking it a little bit easy, letting his teammates take command of that push forward. Now we're starting to see a lot more pressure from Nova. They know this 1-goal lead isn't going to hold, and they can't afford to leave it up to one defender if they want to get the win here and go up to that match point.
Can Titanium get there? He can. Gets the pass from Dream Feeling, and it was a double commit. It looked like, yeah, there it is, right on your screen. Double commit by RIT. Dream Feeling, a beautiful pass to Titanium. That makes it 2-0. And we talk about double commits. Well, I mean, we have had 2 perfect examples in the past two series of why double commits can hurt so much.
And that just really comes down to communication with those double commits, and it really differentiates the good teams from the great teams. If you're able to make sure that your rotations are unlocked, that you're having a space of mind so that you know where your teammates are and if they're going up for a ball at the same time as you are. And that's when a lot of these teams are able to capitalize, is when you make those kind of mistakes. And even with the mistakes we're seeing out of this RIT team,
like
goals like that should not be able to just lob themselves into the back of the net.
This just looks like Queso gets crossed up trying to make this play.
Yeah.
Goes up for it, realizes he's not going to get there. Watches that go into the back of his goal. And I do just want, very quickly, if there's anybody who is new to Rocket League or has never watched a Rocket League broadcast, when Vaudable and I talk about double commits, it's when two players go up for the same challenge on the ball, and it pulls them out of position. That allows for easy shots from the enemy team, and it's cost.
Ooh.
RIT is. That was not a double commit. That was just a beautiful play. Almost found its way in from Nova.
That would have been. That's a double kill on defense, but sometimes those actually pay off, and it did there. No one really putting the pressure on the Nova defense, and that's what's been lacking, at least on the blue side of the field. But Squatchy is able to pull off that bounce off the ceiling into the net all the way from the corner, wins the challenge.
Great challenge.
Yeah, actually just gets a kind of a block there, it seems like, and it just bounces in.
I don't think that was what he was intending to do with the challenge. It was a solid one to win it either way, and it goes in. That could be what RIT needs to try to start the comeback here in Game 2. Need 2 more goals, and they've only got 40 seconds to do it as Sun plays. Has Queso in support, looking for the pass. Titanium gets up there in time. Green feeling commit for that as well. This opens up some space for Squatchy. He'll have no pass over to Queso. That was behind his teammate. Still, though, Sun plays looking for some pressure.
I almost saw Jake try to use the same maneuver as Squishy did during RLCS for his first ceiling shot, the one that so many people know about that was on broadcast. They're having a good time at Nova, and with 10 seconds remaining, 2-goal lead, they know there's no chance for their opponents to come back into this one. And if you're RIT, what really can you do when you haven't gotten a single game win in the 3 series you have played so far, and you're kind of struggling with these double commits, and you're also playing with a sub on top of that?
We'll have to find out. As it really has not looked great from RIT in Game 2. I certainly think that Northern Virginia gained a lot of confidence after that first game win. I mean, you said it. It looks like they're just out there having fun now. They're just trying these plays, trying to score flashy goals where they can. They feel like they have the series in the bag, and that could certainly come back to bite them a little bit if RIT can get things set up again, reset themselves, come out strong in Game 3, because, if Northern Virginia is going to... Game 3 could really turn it around.
And sometimes it's all you need. Going back to the play-ins specifically, and not even the play-ins, actually just keeping it within the CRL sphere. We saw one team you wouldn't expect to get all the way to having to do a reverse sweep. We saw Arizona get a reverse sweep in their first match on the broadcast for the fall season. So obviously that is a kind of different caliber of a team, but there is a possibility for that reverse sweep to happen. If you get that first game, that would be the first game that they would win. And if they got a win in a series where they get that many games back-to-back in a best-of-5, I feel like that'll be a huge confidence booster going into the remaining season, but they still have a long way to go. They have to get the lead in this one, make sure they don't go down early like they did in the previous game.
That's such an important point, and we talked about it last series as well with Michigan. It can be so difficult to play from behind. You'd rather have the lead when possible, but especially with your backs against the wall like Michigan's was, like now RIT find themselves, it can be very difficult to break out of that mindset of like, oh man, we've really got to score or we're going to lose this game when you're playing from behind. Whereas if you're playing with a lead, it kind of feels like a bit of a relief. Like, yeah, we can do it. Wait, what?
What? 1 second. Sorry to interrupt you there. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting this kind of a play. It was a cool shot from Jake into Squatchy to put that one through. Unfortunately, they weren't able to stop the momentum from his play. He was just going for it full send, and it went into the back of the net, past the goal line. I am just shocked.
Well, that's the second goal from Squatchy in 2 games now that he's just won based off a challenge. That one Had a little help from Jake, but either way, those are the goals that you take if you're RIT, especially in the position you're in right now. We said playing with a lead feels a lot better than playing with from behind. As Sunblaze almost puts that one in. He brings it off the crossbar, though. And now Jake gets by the defense. Sunblaze is there, but the ball's wide anyway. Titanium up for it towards the net. Sunblaze off the post. There's Dream Feeling to finish it off. We're tied at 1.
Ooh, Dream Feeling getting that first opportunity there off the post. Titanium is what won them that goal. He was able to follow up, get it off the crossbar again, and then we saw the double commit affect the defense there on the goal line. They panicked a bit too much, and that's where we saw it go through with Dream Feeling on the follow through there. And there's another one from him, just gonna put it right in the upper 90. Great consistency that we're seeing out of this Nova roster.
Yeah, and that's a really tough play from Queso because you're expecting your teammate to, to be blunt, to not hit it the way that Sunblaze did along that sidewall, not just immediately give up possession. So it was a tough choice for Queso. He decided to go back and defend against the shot as Squatchy almost puts that in his own net. That was a scary moment for RIT yet again. But it's just those little touches, right, that have really hurt RIT. As Titanium, he's just going to dazzle us with a great backwall touch. It's 3-1.
That was a beautiful touch by Titanium. Got the read off the roof of the car, all the way as far as it could go from the defenders that were towards the net. And this is the kind of performance that we've been told to expect from this Nova roster. They only played one series, and it was against Akron, who did win during CRL Spring. So we'll see what they can do in the remainder of the series, but if they continue this way with the remaining 3 minutes and less than 20 seconds now, they're going to look pretty good against the majority of the teams that are competing in this Eastern Conference.
Scotchy tried to sneak it by Dream Feeling, couldn't quite do it. There's still 3 minutes left to play for RIT. They need to score 2. That's a good pitch. That finds its way in. Squatchy gets credit for another amazing goal.
It just seems that these unorthodox plays that we keep witnessing from Squatchy are the key to victory for this team. And, maybe they just have to let him loose and he'll be able to bring them at least to a tie game. A great coordinated effort there for the pinch, and much too powerful for the defender to get in the way of that one. But Titanium almost got the double touch there.
He had one earlier. Tried to one-up himself with that play. Just couldn't quite get it on goal. It is 3-2, and Squatchy, the sub, has had a colorful collection of goals thus far in this series.
It's a great way to describe it.
Now Sunblaze looking for Squatchy again. Oh, he almost made that one work as well. It goes just wide. 3-2. Still, as Queso's looking for a pass, Squatchy will keep the ball in. I believe Jake does have a line on the clear. Sunblaze beats him to it, though. Now Titanium, low on boost, looking for a pass. Queso cuts it off. There's Squatchy one more time. Gets underneath the ball and sails it well wide. Final 2 minutes left. Still a 1-goal lead for Northern Virginia, but RIT looking a little better.
RIT have been very solid on offense so far in this game. The crux of their entire situation, though, has been these counterattack opportunities. Luckily for them, Titanium did not get the connection there. That would have been another 2-goal lead against them. They really have to speed up their rotation back to their own half, especially if they aren't able to secure these opportunities that they're having. There's another chance for Jake, but he wasn't able to return in time. So that might be a chance for them to get a breather, and a great touch by Squatchy to make sure there's no chance of that one going in.
You talked about the transitional play from Northern Virginia, and that whole series was set up by a wonderful touch from Titanium to start a transition type play against RIT. Just were unable to cap it off, and we continue to play 3-2. That's another great touch by Jake. But it does find its way towards Queso. Dream Feeling has to go up to make a save. Giveaway in mid as Sunblaze try to keep it rolling, but Jake will find his way back to the ball. Can't quite go underneath Queso, though. This is scary now with only 38 seconds left. Squatchy goes high.
A little bit too high. Sunblaze could not win the challenge there. Just ran out of boost at the end of it. There is 2 players pushed up, so it's going to be all up to Squatchy, and he's able to get it past. So 22 seconds. There's one final shot for them. There's Sunblaze, but he hasn't really been able to connect at all with a lot of these shots on offense. Now is looking like it might be the end of the road for RIT. Put up a solid effort here. Might have one final breath in them, but it's just going to roll on the ground. And Nova, Northern Virginia, they're the ones to take the 3-0 sweep. And it seems like this might just be the night of sweeps if things continue this way.
Well, it has certainly been a wonderful time thus far, and honestly, I didn't expect either one of these series that we watched to be full sweeps.
Same.
I really thought that this one would go to at least 4 games, but Northern Virginia, they showed that they're a dangerous team, and they, like we were mentioning in the pregame for this, RIT, they haven't won a game yet. A game in
a single
CRL.
Game.
Not a series, but a game, and they will continue to have not won a game after this series. They were very close, though. It felt like, they got a little help with some fluky goals here and there, but it really felt like in games 1 and 3 specifically that they had opportunities, and it was the striking that let them down, or there was no follow-up on a play, or their offense was a little too spread out and they couldn't get back to the ball. And if they can fix those tiny mistakes, they're not large mistakes, they're little mistakes. If they can fix those, they can start challenging these teams. And Northern Virginia is a quality team.
They looked a lot stronger than the performance we saw out of Michigan in that first series, for sure. They didn't have as many mistakes. The main mistakes we saw of them were some double commits on offense and on that backboard. And then the transitional play, they just weren't really able to get back in time. And that's where we saw the counterattacks come into play for Nova. They were able to capitalize on those, especially with Titanium, his explosiveness on offense. Having full boost as well definitely helps in that favor for Nova. So if they can continue that effort, they're going to look really solid in their future matches. Like, looking forward a little bit to the matches that Nova are going to have, I believe they're also going to be playing tomorrow as well. And they're going to be facing off against Michigan. So if Michigan look the same way they did tonight, Nova's going to have 2 wins after not having a single one before today. So they'll be pretty solid moving forward. But we still need to see a lot more out of this RIT team. They are 0-9 in games. So it's just a few things to work on. So if they can do that, they'll be pretty solid. But they only have 3 weeks to do it.
Yeah, certainly. They that is the key. There's only 3 weeks. Granted, it's 15 total series, but it is only 3 weeks. So we'll have to see them try to step it up. Their 2 previous losses, if anybody is trying to keep up at home, it was against Michigan and it was against Ohio State Gray. 2 very quality teams. I mean, we talked about them at the top of the show, that they're both teams that can make deep runs in the CRL. But then when you drop a game to a team like Northern Virginia, who struggled early on, it starts to bring into question, if you can perform and propel yourself to that kind of top 8 spot that everybody's looking for. But early on, it's a long, short season.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited. But we are going to go ahead and take a quick break. On the other side of that, we'll get into the Western Conference matches we've got for you here on the B Stream. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.